Good morning. Hello, it's good to be together again. Today we're going to be looking to learn the lessons of evaluating our garden plants. It's going to teach us some very nice lessons. First slide, please. I want you to look at the gardens. The gardens teach us a lot about what is healthy and what isn't. You see all the garden plants here? They're all growing. They're green. Notice that they're very, very green and they're growing. Next slide, please. A properly fed garden and watered are growing and they're happy and they're very healthy. Look at the lawn, the yard, the landscape, the flowers, the tomatoes, the lettuce. Aren't they beautiful? That's what healthy is all about. Yes. But at times, our plants get diseased. They'll look sickly, they're not thriving, and that's really their cry out for help that they need. Next picture. I want to look at some diseases that are on our plants. You see the first one? The first one shows us leaves that are all brown. Oh my, what's the problem? The gardener can ask. The gardener is responsible to fix the problems that come up with the plants. And then the next one, you see the curling leaf and turning all brown, but part of it is still green. Yeah, both that one and the brown one shows that there's not enough water. That's the problem. And so a true gardener consults the master gardener, Jesus, who knows the solution for all diseases. And he's going to say, make an adjustment. You need to add more water to these plants. They don't have enough water. Well, the brown spots and the curling ones show that there's not enough water, but the holes in the leaves shows another disease that the gardener has to become familiar with. And that is that bugs come in and they want to take over and eat our plants all up. Well, if it's a little thing, it doesn't need to be dealt with. But if there's a lot, it can destroy your produce that you're trying to grow, whatever that plant might be. But I want you to see the parallel. A gardener is your parents. Your parents want to evaluate your health, your growth. Are you green? Are you growing? Are you healthy? Do you have brown spots? What would brown spots be in a child's character? Well, the very worst disease that can come upon all of us, and that is selfishness. Yes. And we can turn brown and we can get snappy and we can be angry and we can be selfish. Oh my. And the parents are watching for that in their children so that they can treat the disease soon. The brown spots in our character are a lack of water too. The water of life from Jesus. Jesus can fill us with the water of life and give us true life that we can do good instead of being selfish. That's our helper. That's what God wants to do for each and every one of us. A child, an adult too, can get angry at the littlest things that don't go their way. That's a brown spot in their character. Next slide, please. I want you to notice that girl sitting there standing holding her broom. And I want you to notice the spirit. It's a dark spirit. That's the selfish spirit. And she isn't going to sweep the floor. No, I won't sweep the floor. And look at that little boy. I call that a wilting plant. Do you see his face? Oh, I don't want to. I don't like this. I'm not going to cooperate. I'm going to be selfish. That's a selfish, pouting little boy. Jesus is the water of life, and Jesus, just like he can help the plants with water, he can help us with our character and soften the soil of our heart, which is where all selfishness comes from. That's where it grows up from. And fix that. And time with Jesus can break up those dry clods in the soil, can soften it so that it can be more apt to receive and willing to do what's right instead of being selfish. Next slide, please. Jesus can help a child see that the dishes are a little thing. It's not a big thing like they feel or like they're really thinking. That's a lying thought. That's a weed seed that Satan is implanting in our minds. I don't want to wash the dishes. I don't like to wash the dishes. Mother needs to wash the dishes. The parents evaluate that we have too much time to think about selfish things. And when we think about selfish things and feel selfish things, we do them. Ooh, ouch. But Jesus' time can talk with us. We can walk with him. We can take his hands so that Jesus can show us a better way of life, that we can have a happy heart. Go back to picture number 6, that Jesus picture talking to us. You can walk and talk with him, and he can help you see the truth and understand the lie that's there. And we need to learn to walk and talk with Jesus and see him as our best friend, that he can heal that disease of selfishness in us. Your parents' work is to bring you good health, right? You need to be green like the plants that we saw, and that represents trusting God, and growing like a good garden. I want to show you a snappy stick. This is us without Jesus. And Mother asks us to do the dishes. We snap. Did you hear that? Snap. Get snappy and I don't want to. Or Mother asks you to go clean your room and you get snappy. That's self. We don't want to be a snappy stick. Without Jesus, we can only be that because we don't have the power to change us. But when Jesus comes in, look how flexible this is. Very flexible. Mother asks you to do the dishes. Yes, I'll be glad to do the dishes. I love you, Mama. And even when your heart feels like, I don't want to, I want to wilt, I don't like doing dishes. If you talk to Jesus, Jesus can help you be flexible and actually enjoy doing the dishes. That's what Jesus in you can do. And that's what he wants to do for each and every one of us, to deliver us from these selfish things that cause so much trouble. Next picture. Jesus is knocking at the door of your heart. I want you to notice there's no handle on the door. Jesus can't come in. He won't come in unless you or I invite him. And then he can come in and he can clean our little heart and he can subdue that selfishness. It can help us to be empowered to do what's right. The garden teaches us these lessons, the value of a happy, healthy heart. And we all need Jesus in our hearts, don't we? To live the upright life. Next slide, please. This is a curled leaf. Do you see that it's all curled up, and both pictures should kind of show you that? Well, what's the curled leaf in our character life? Well, that's a child that doesn't want to be corrected. Have you ever felt you didn't want to be corrected, not resistive? That's the selfish disease that's curling us all up, or resist washing dishes. The parents want to evaluate, is my child nourished? Does he have the bread of life, Jesus? Is he softened down with having the water of life, Jesus coming in to soften our nature and to give us the power to do what we know is right? Parents want to teach you in your mind what's right and wrong, but that's not enough. Parents have to train you with your will. You do it with a will, Joe. That means that you're going to go and do the dishes and you're going to choose to believe that Jesus can change you, and you're going to cooperate with Jesus. Next slide, please. Jesus wants to live in us and he wants to give us the power. Remember this? All the seeds come to life because Jesus gives you the life. He breathes the breath of life in there, even when you don't feel like it. That's the sprouting seeds that only comes from Jesus. We don't possess it. Next slide. And when Jesus comes in, he can deliver us. Here's that boy and that girl that weren't willing to work and help mama, and they had a bad spirit, selfishness, and they're delivered. The boy is washing the dishes cheerfully because he let Jesus come in the heart and soften it and empower him, just like Jesus can do with the seeds. And look at the spirit that's there. And the girl is sweeping diligently. Yes, and we find joy in our hearts when we find this power to obey. We need to cooperate with our parents to do right, but you need to take Jesus' hands to be empowered. And you'll discover the fun that such a happy heart can bring. It's better than 2 scoops of ice cream. It's better than a big slice of homemade apple pie. Yes, but you won't know that until you experience it and see your part cooperating and choosing, and God's part giving us life to do the right thing. What a joy it is to be healed from the disease of selfishness. And Jesus is always there to walk and talk with you, to take your hand, to empower you. You need to thank your parents for caring about your health and taking you to Jesus in prayer so you can have that power. You see, parents are just like the gardener, evaluating diseases that they see signs of and wanting to treat it. They watch for the brown spots. They like you to have plenty of water to be healthy, plenty of good nourishing food, and to receive instructions to be flexible, right? So when the parent is connected to God, God can give them the wisdom to see that you have a brown spot that needs to be addressed. And you can thank your parents for that. God's love and care gives you what is best, not always what you want. You may not see it right now, but you will see it all in due time. You must choose Jesus as your best friend, confident, and talk with him. He's the creator. And a true parent will guide you to Jesus that you can have that life and the power to do what's right, just as we take care of our garden. This is the lesson today from our garden. True happiness is found when I am choosing to connect to Jesus and wanting to hear his still small voice and do his will. Which fruit do you want to produce in your garden? Next slide. Maybe you like the vegetable kingdom and you want to be a cucumber or you want to be whatever. Next slide, please. Having this fruit, you can be any of these. You can be a peach, you can be a tomato, you can be a cucumber, a bean, a zucchini. You can be anything you choose to be when you have Jesus' hand in yours. Next slide. Or maybe you like being a tree, an apple tree. You like apples better. Well, all these fruits bring smiles to mother and father, and most of all, they bring smiles in your own heart and in Jesus's heart, because he sees his character being reproduced in you because you've chosen to cooperate. The most dreaded disease, selfishness, in many varied ways, can be overcome by your choosing to respond to God and believe what he tells you. It takes you to Jesus, there you can have a new life, a happier heart, and find real joy in your life. May you enjoy the lessons you learned from the garden today. God bless you, and I look forward to next time. Bye.